let's watch this video. This is recommended to me by Tremendous Pain in the comment section. So let's take a look.
Here's a PubMed, NCBI, and like this is a medical journal. So I mean, like,
hold on a second. Let me actually. Hold on a second. You know what? Okay, you know what? Just hold it up for me. Hold it up for me. 0.0018%, almost 100 times lower than Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
So it is because they are.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
Okay, just before we start this, I'm gonna give my kind of opinion on this. I think I'm open to the idea that that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, as long as the biological advantage given to them through puberty, through growing up a male, through training as a male for so long, as long as that is eliminated, then I am perfectly fine with trans women competing in women's sports. However, the issue is it doesn't seem like there's good science on that confirms that, and it seems like as more science comes out, it seems like going through a male puberty and training in a sport throughout that, it gives you certain advantages throughout the rest of your life that growing up a woman, going through a woman's puberty, that woman just can't, like, you can't reverse those changes, really. Even with a lot of HRT. Why does my camera keep breaking? That even with that even if you reverse those changes for a while through HRT, you're not going to be able to fully eliminate that advantage. So I'm actually probably going to agree with Crowder in this particular video. But yeah, if you want to do more research on that, I would highly recommend doing it. I don't necessarily have time to go and just do a ton of research. In the past, I used to argue that trans women should compete in women's sports because I thought that the HRT would completely reverse it. But I think going through, I think from the evidence that I've seen, it seems like now the science is starting to point more in the other direction, where it's like, hey, if you go through puberty as a man, you train through that puberty as a man, that's like training on intense levels of steroids, because a male puberty is like is like insanely strong steroids. And that's just not fully reversible. Like, the fact that I weightlifted throughout high school and weightlifting throughout college means that my body is going to have certain advantages that I just really can't reverse. As long as I'm like lifting a little bit to maintain that weight, I don't have to train as hard as someone who's like 25 and is trying, even a man who's 25 and trying to get into weightlifting and trying to build strength. But yeah, let's actually get into the video, because I am going off some tangents.
Welcome back to part 2 of our Change My Mind installment, specifically on the topic that biological males should not compete in women's sports. Well, at least that's what it was supposed to be. See, yesterday I sat down and spoke with Isaac, and although we disagreed, we had a productive, almost hour-long discussion. But in case you've forgotten, civility wasn't exactly on everybody's mind that day. And these are adults acting this way in college. At UNT, the Harvard of Denton County, no less. And I had to wonder, why would college students ever think it's acceptable to behave this way? Enter one of their self-described mentors, Stephen Monticelli.
All right, so it's okay. We're comfortable with our masculinity. The more you can move in, the better.
All right, so we can actually. Oh, you got the mic on the desk.
Oh, there you go. Here, I'll have it on you.
That?
Your name is Stephen?
That's right, Stephen.
Monticelli is a contributing writer at Rolling Stone and The Daily Beast, where he specializes in leftist talking points and attacking college students. He's even made an appearance on CNN's New Day.
That's right.
Also, this noted Inspector Gadget impressionist who cosplays as Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think I might just need to deactivate my camera because it's being very obnoxious right now. Let's try disconnecting, reconnecting. Let's move some stuff around, actually. Let's see if that works. Is it gonna... sit there. Okay. Sorry about all these technical difficulties. This is probably going to go on YouTube too, but okay. Activate, and then hopefully it's going to be fine. I know, my camera is terrible right now. I kind of need a new one, but let's
enthusiast had clearly been waiting for Change My Mind to come to UNT, the Harvard of Denton County, for quite some time, and he just couldn't hide his enthusiasm.
All right, good. Do you spell it PH or V?
The V.
Same way, very nice. Fewer letters means a cooler name. Last name?
Monticelli, I'll spell it for you.
Okay.
Monaceli.
So, German.
Italian.
Boy, missed all of that one.
Missed it by that much.
Just a little bit, but both those countries have a certain history for a certain type of politics, but we're not here to talk about that today.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know how I got that one wrong. It's almost like I wasn't even trying.
Oh, look, the sense of humor mobile. It's not stopping here.
So, Steve. Steven, Steve, how do you prefer?
Steven.
By the way, I like this jacket. Can I?
Thanks. Yeah, go for it.
Is it a raincoat? Or is it
It's
just
like a cotton jacket, I guess, surplus.
Okay.
Military
well, the whole
surplus.
outfit works.
Thanks.
So, Steve,
Are they gonna start
I don't know how
talking?
familiar you are at all with what we do with this kind of installment is, but it's basically a
The
way where we
intro's
can
way too
hopefully
long.
rationalize our positions on controversial topics. A lot of the times, people can have somewhat rational conversations on topics that maybe don't evoke an emotional response, and then it all goes out the window, as you've seen here on college campuses with dancing Yoda and people throwing milkshakes and screaming and all these kinds of things, which we generally like to avoid.
Now, spoiler alert, this is about to go sideways very quickly.
So today's topic is one obviously we planned for a while, but
Jesus Christ, 3 minutes of intro just trying to be funny, like, look at all these crazy leftists. Like, dude, I want to fucking watch the video. Let me watch the video. I want to watch the discussion. Jeez, I want my mind to be changed, but I have to sit through 3 minutes of Crowder trying to be funny. Jesus.
now it's in the news because of Leah Thomas. I don't believe that biological males should be allowed to compete with women, biological females in women's sports. If you disagree with me, I'm more than happy to hear your case and let you change my mind.
So I guess before we get into it, what is your definition of the term biological female? Is that something that would include people who are assigned female at birth that were born intersex?
So this is interesting that you're bringing up this point intersex. You're talking about the 0.01% of the
That's
population.
it.
Okay, why is he asking this question? He knows what Crowder means. He knows that Crowder means that by biological female, he knows Crowder means assigned female at birth. I don't understand why we have to like clarify questions that you already kind of know the answer to. Like, Crowder's a conservative. So he thinks that men are people who are assigned male at birth and females are people who are assigned female at birth. Or women are people that were assigned female at birth. It's not that difficult.
It's about 1.5, 1.7, because there are surgeries that are done to babies when they're born,
Yeah.
and then they assign them a gender.
So let me address two different points here.
Sure.
First off, what I'm saying with biological males and females is the overwhelming majority of people, of course, across the globe since the beginning of time, who are born.
I guess with the intersex question, it's technically true that there's some people who are men, like, who have dicks, who look like who everyone could call a biological male, who don't have XY chromosomes. But that's a whole other thing. But there's different things with that. Like, I think you can have XXY and still like have a dick, look like a guy, be completely indistinguishable all your life from a biological male, but then you're still technically intersex. So like, I don't know, that's just kind of where the or the XY versus XX definition for male female kind of breaks down, but I don't know, that's not super important.
As a male, born as a female, you can go not only by chromosomes, but secondary sex
So, like, if
characteristics.
there's are there
hold on a
100
second.
people here?
Hold on, let me finish. And then I'll address your second point.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
So doctors, for example, fill out male or female. Now we're talking about sex, right? We're not talking about identified gender. I'm assuming that you would agree
So you
that
agree
sex is
there's
a biological term and gender is
There's
a social.
difference between.
I understand that's
the
how
two.
gender theory is presented, certainly in gender studies on college campus.
Sure.
With intersex, it's about 0.01% of the population, and the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate statistic.
It is an accurate statistic.
I can pull it.
Yeah, that's right. Male and female humans have distinct skeletal structures. I think that's true. But I think technically, like, I don't know. There's differences, but a lot of those like descriptive differences, those would fall along a curve where some like females will be more masculine in those things. So I think really I think the best way to distinguish between male and female male and female in a biological sense would be that like biological males are the people who produce sperm, biological females are the people who produce eggs. And I don't think there's really any overlap there. I don't think there's like you either do one or the other, I think, from my understanding. I think gametes is the best way to do it, but
and the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate statistic.
It is an accurate statistic.
I can pull up
and
the
I'll make
Google
all the
statistic
references available.
right now. It's 1.5%.
1.5%.
sorry.
Majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change
That's actually not.
by gender.
I was thinking about
assuming
other
that
stuff.
you would agree
So you
that
agree
sex is
there's
a biological term and gender is
There's
a social.
difference between.
I understand that's how gender theory is presented, certainly in gender studies on college campus.
Sure.
With intersex, it's about 0.01% of the population, and the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate statistic.
It is an accurate statistic.
I can pull up
and
the
I'll make
Google
all the
statistic
references available.
right now. It's 1.5%.
1.5% of the population is not intersex.
Well, they're born that
And
way.
even then, a very small percentage of them are improperly assigned with
Well, why don't we just look this up? Percent of population intersex. I feel like we'll see this. Between 0.05% and 1.7%. So it's okay. So it's literally like Crowder's just giving the lower estimate and the other dude's giving the higher estimate. Okay, whatever.
primary sex at birth. They
Yeah,
usually have
they're-
primary sexual characteristics, okay? So primary sexual characteristics, and very few have to end up going with some kind of a sex change operation later in life. Would we
because
agree
it's
on
often
that?
done when they're children or when they're babies.
Right, or they're assigned male, female at birth, even if they're intersex.
yeah.
Also,
that's
none
what
of
I'm
this
trying to get at.
matters.
Are you
None of this
talking about
matters for the
people who are
conversation.
If we
assigned-
separate that intersex, okay? So let's say we allow
Literally none of this matters for the trans sports conversation. Like, oh my god, this video is frustrating me. Like, please get to the point. We don't need to like deconstruct gender and deconstruct gender ideology here. Like, that's not necessarily what this conversation is about. This conversation is ultimately about whether or not taking enough HRT can change someone who was assigned male at birth, can make them, who went through puberty as a male, can turn them into, or can reduce their athletic advantage down to the level where they can compete against women and not have a significant, or can compete against cis women and not have a biological advantage.
Why should we?
intersex to no, I'm saying let's say we allow intersex to compete in the division they choose.
How do you prove that they're in? How do you even get to that question of?
I feel like intersex should probably compete in male. I think we need a protected cis women category. I think that's my position.
Are you or are you not? Are you asking then that there has to be a box that people have to tick that they were intersex?
I'm confused by you presenting the argument here because you asked me about intersex.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is there are edge cases here that I don't think that your presentation actually encompasses. And
I just
furthermore,
encompassed it.
So if people
what is
are
intersex?
allowed, so that someone who is born with both female and male sex characteristics.
There you go. Now you've got it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then
You just
there are
checked the box.
surgeries that are
you
done
just
to
check the
them.
box.
But someone would have to ask them that.
Yes.
So are you proposing that people are asked that?
What I'm saying is if someone is intersex, let's allow that to be an exception.
So how
let's
do
say
we
that someone
know
who's
that
intersex
that is
can
the
compete
case?
in any division they want to.
How do we know
They would
that?
have to declare if they're intersex.
So you're at
And it would be submitted, they would obviously be examined by a doctor.
Ooh, do we think intersex should be able to compete in a division of their choosing? Maybe. It probably would have to be determined, like, because most intersex people usually fall closer to one or the other, from my understanding, and usually a surgery is done at birth to like make them fall more in line with that. So it should probably be determined by that, maybe, or by default, if it's like literally indistinguishable, probably put them with the males, because you don't want to have the because we created a women's category because women are at a biological disadvantage and we want to see more women succeed in these sports. But that's actually a more interesting question. But
just
Okay.
as the women are in women's sports and men are in men's sports. Just as they have to submit to not only blood sampling for drug tests, hair follicle sampling, often nail scrapings, right? We both know that physicals are conducted in all sports
Oh my God, I don't
to separate
care.
for what? Sex, right? To separate for
I want
weight,
to talk about.
to separate for.
I want to talk about
When I
the
was
trans
playing
women in
sports when
sports
I was
question.
a kid, no
Oh
one
my
ever
God.
inspected my genitals.
Really?
No.
You never had to turn your head and cough?
Well, that wasn't for doing sports. That's called a physical. That's a medical thing that was separate from being able to do sports.
Yeah, so you never had to do a full medical?
I mean,
So you must not have played sports at a high level because
weren't really
everyone
concerned
has to
about-
pass a medical.
So-
You do realize that at Division I sports you would have to pass a medical. You know
so
why?
so the medical would be a description of your genitals. Would that?
It would include it?
It would include a written description and a verbal description.
Yes.
Really?
This
Really?
medical examination, yeah, would include the description of your vitals,
Okay.
of your health,
Okay.
of your health parameters.
So I guess now that we've gone through that, what is?
But we
the-
haven't gone through that.
What is the reason that you're?
we haven't gone through that. You haven't
So
answered
if you're
me.
concerned, if you're less concerned about intersex
Move
people,
off
then
this
why are you so
topic,
concerned
please.
about transgender people?
Crowder, why are you sticking to this topic?
Again, I was answering your question. You asked about
Well,
intersex.
they both get surgeries. Sometimes they both need hormone treatment. What's your position against? If you're okay with one, why are you not okay
so
with the other?
well, here's exactly why. First off, you're taking an extreme example to make a point, misrepresenting those statistics. It's not 1.5% of the population.
All right, I'll
Please,
Google it. It's
please
fine.
move. Please
You won't
move
find
off
a
the
single
example.
position in the country.
According to experts, 1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits.
Pause a second. Let's analyze his Googling technique.
I'll just
Find a
Google
position
it.
in the country.
It's fine.
You won't find a single position in the country.
According to experts,
Huh, a two-click Google search. It's
Ooh, that's weird.
almost as if he had the whole thing planned out. Poorly.
1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits. It's
That's
just,
from amnesty.org.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can just like keep. I can go
That's
to.
from amnesty.org.
I mean, it's from. There's Wikipedia. There's plenty
Yes,
of.
Amnesty and Wikipedia. Okay.
There's
I'll make my
here's a
references
PubMed
available.
NC.
Okay, this is dumb. I think let's see. So it's possible, for one, that he could have just pulled up something beforehand, which it seems like that's probably what he did. But also Crowder's immediate dismissal, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna automatically dismiss these sources. It's like, okay, that's a little weird. Like, that's kind of anti-intellectual. Like, where else are you gonna get? I mean, I think it would be better if you like actually typed it in, showed Crowder what he was typing, then like clicked enter, and then yeah, like similar to what I did. But the immediate dismissal is a little sus. But I don't know.
and like this is a medical journal. So
And
I mean,
also, this none of this matters. Like, none of this has anything to do with the trans and sports topic. Like, we're almost 9 minutes in, and we haven't talked about trans sports a single time. Crowder, what are you doing? Why are you dwelling on this point? It feels like Crowder's just afraid to get into an actual discussion.
like,
Hold
look,
on a second. Let me actually. Hold on a second. You know what? Okay, you know what? Just
I
hold
would
it up for me.
encourage
Hold it up for me.
anyone that
Hold it up for me.
wants to do this.
That was the most soy face ever. Don't touch my phone. That was weird.
You just brought up PubMed, and it didn't
Yeah.
reflect what you just reflected in
So
Amnesty.
abstract.
0.0018%, almost 100 times lower than Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
So it is because they are.
Can you
talking
hold
about
that up to the camera?
chromosomal Sex.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
Inconsistent.
Can you hold that up to the
phenotypic
camera?
Sex. Yeah. So let's see. There's.
Can you hold it up to the camera?
There's a debate about this, which is what we're having.
Pause. Now, if you notice the shift, and I mean increase in my enthusiasm, it's because I was intensely familiar with the PubMed paper he was attempting to cite. And by cite, I mean blatantly misrepresent. And by blatantly misrepresent, I mean lie about. And this is the real value of Change My Mind in the conversations being included in their full context unedited. It's one thing to be able to lie about numbers to unsuspecting students in order to score political points. It's another to face accountability in real time. So let's rewind and zoom in and enhance on his screen. Unfortunately, the tech isn't good enough to get a crystal clear picture, but here's the actual PubMed article abstract. If the term intersex is to retain any meaning, the term should be restricted to those conditions in which chromosomal sex is inconsistent with phenotypic sex, or in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true prevalence of intersex is seen to be about I want to
actually read.
classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true
Oh
prevalence
my god, when I stream, my internet is garbage. Okay. That's an interesting definition, though. In which chromosomal sex should be that's a very restrictive definition, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about this study to be able to talk about it, but yeah, it seems like there is, yeah. So that's by that definition, that's the percentage. There's another estimate that's 1.7%. Yeah, so it seems like the initial Google search that I did, like I don't know enough about this particular study. It seems like you need to look at multiple studies and kind of judge the estimates. So I'm guessing that apart from this restrictive definition, because this is what it's saying, that the only way someone could be intersex is if they have XY, but like a vagina at birth, or XX but have a penis at birth. Like, it's kind of strange. Or in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female. Okay, that's another possibility. It seems like a definitional difference. It depends how we define intersex, because I don't think that's a super objective thing either. Like, it seems like there's probably some ambiguity to that, but I'm not sure.
classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true prevalence of intersex is seen to be about 0.018%, almost 100 times lower than the Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
Can you hold it up to the camera?
There's a debate about this, which is what we're having. Yeah, you can.
No wonder the social justice warrior / handler of Curious George shoved his phone back in his pocket faster than a crack pipe at the bordello of Biden.
Yeah, you can Google.
But you didn't present it as a debate.
You can get different figures.
Hold on a second. Let me finish here, because you just brought
Yeah,
up.
he's correct on that. You can get different figures, but Crowder ends up looking significantly better in this exchange because he just like used the study that the dude pulled up to debunk the dude. So it's like, why would you even pull up that study? That's strange.
Up Amnesty.org and Wikipedia.
Sure.
The only legitimate medical publication that you brought up said exactly what I said. What number did I give you? What number did I give you?
So then let's put it in
What number
numbers.
did I give you?
If there are 100 people here
What
or
number did I
1,000
give you?
people here, if there are 100 people here or there are 1,000 people here, there's still going to be at least one person.
Look, if you're
There's
not
still
going
gonna be at least
if
one
truth
person.
doesn't matter to you, this isn't going to be a productive
I'm
conversation.
actually giving the numbers.
What number did I give to you?
So you gave me 0.1%?
0.01%.
0.0%.
What does that number from PubMed say?
Let's see. It says 0.08, which would be
0.018%.
0.018%.
Yeah, that's the number I gave you.
So let's see what PubMed just said.
That is PubMed. You just showed the PubMed.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull
Now
up
you're
the
going
same
back to
dog.
Amnesty.org, or you're going to Wikipedia. So my point is, look, you sit here and you spout numbers that are inaccurate.
Oh
when you
God, this dude is taking an L. You got to just move on. You can't keep fighting this point. Just say, okay, maybe you're right. Now let's move on to the next thing. Like, oh God. Like, it's possible that maybe with more research you could find different numbers. You probably can find different numbers. The initial Google search I did said usually they range between like that low estimate and then that like 1.7% one. But you just got to move on, man. You can't be doing Google searches in front of, like, in the middle of a debate. It's just not smart, because you're going to waste time. You're going to sometimes pull up things that you need to think a little bit more about and do some independent thought on. You're going to come up with all sorts of different numbers all over the place. You have to do the research on your own time. Present it later.
go to one legitimate medical journal, it says that it's actually 1,000 times lower. So do we want to have a
This is also some kind of why I don't necessarily like Googling, like going through all these Google searches on stream, because I need time to like parse over the data, think about it a little bit, compare it with other figures, and actually try to gain a broader understanding. You don't really have the time to do all of that when you're just like, oh, let's find this number really quick. A lot of times you'll look for stuff and you won't find necessarily the exact number that you're looking for. And it's just hard to do when you're streaming or when you're debating someone. It's just, yeah, it's not... You have to do the preparation beforehand. If I'm going to do a stream, for example, where I am going to talk about something where I want to cite a bunch of statistics, like if I'm going to do an immigration stream where I'm going to talk about how how like immigrants commit less crime than natives, for example. I would go through, look at all the studies, look at a bunch of stuff, and then I would come in with the stuff that I actually think is relevant and actually want to talk about. This is kind of what I did with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. It's not the same like with the numbers and stuff, but I like actually went in beforehand, prepared a bunch of tabs. If you watch the video, you can see like on the top of my screen, was a bunch of tabs up there. With different things, and I just would go through those and talk about them. Yeah, you have to do your research before you talk about stuff. Otherwise, you're gonna look dumb. And if you're in that situation, you should just if you want to cite a statistic, you should know how to easily access it. Or if you don't know how to easily access it, just don't bring it up. Just say, this is the stat I've seen. Go ahead, fact check me if you want. It's possible I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. That's what I typically do in streams because I don't have the time to do a shit ton of Googling and research.
Conversation about the topic at hand, or do you want to keep embarrassing yourself with wrong numbers?
So, if you're going to accept that there are people in this world, no matter how rare that you think that they are, that you're going to allow to participate in sports.
No matter how rare your own sources said they are.
No matter how rare that there are in existence, it doesn't matter what you think or what I think, they exist.
The numbers are the numbers.
Do you believe that they exist?
Of course I believe that 0.018% according to PubMed.
So there are people in this state, in this city,
yes,
who would fit that categorization, and just because there are a small number of them, you're going to just kind of disregard the example.
And what number of them require some kind of sex change? What number of them require
Why is that so threatening to you?
It's not threatening to me.
It seems like it is.
Well, what's bothering to me is your dishonesty.
So I'll grant your number. I'll grant your number, and my argument is still the same.
So what's the number of people there who are not accurately defined at birth by their primary and secondary sexual characteristics?
So once again,
it's about
why is
0.2% of 0.01.8% of the population.
And so because
now
this is terrible. This argument. Oh my God! It makes me. It makes me want to do things to myself that I don't think YouTube would approve of saying. Oh God! This is how. I don't know. I feel like this is how you get people. This is how you increase the suicide rate. Let's just say that. This is how you increase the suicide rate in America. Producing videos like this where the dude starts making a point at the beginning, never actually really makes an argument, and they just get bogged down on one point that is kind of related, but not really kind of relevant to the topic, but actually completely irrelevant, and then bogged down and you're 13 minutes in a video. All of our time has been wasted. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
The percentage of people that are competing in sports that are transgender. What's that number of the population? What's that percentage?
The number of transgender people.
Percentage of the total population. Yeah, and that are competing in sports.
As far as the categories that they enter, they end up winning about 66%, for example, in track, upwards of 90% in strength sports like powerlifting and Olympic lifting. That's significant.
See, that's true. And also it's just the principle as well. Like, if a certain group of people has a large advantage, even if there's not that many of them, they still probably shouldn't be allowed in the sport. Like, let's say there's some drug that someone can take and it makes them able to lift like 2 times as heavy of weights. But it's super expensive, so only like 0.01% of powerlifters can even purchase it. Should people who take it be allowed to compete? Probably not, right? But I think that's the same sort of principle. And then let's say that drug, like, after you boost your strength by so much, you can't fully reverse it. Like, those effects linger on. I think those people should be banned from the sport.
So even though they make up 1% of the population when they enter into female sports, they overwhelmingly tend to dominate, and this is a very small sample size. So my question to you is, what do we do? Because you're supposed to sit here and
Are we going to start talking about genetics as it relates to people winning sports? Is that what you want to do? Is that what you're asking?
Male and female sports are separated by biology, yes?
I mean, what's the point of sports?
To win.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Why is that funny?
It just tells me a lot about who you are.
The point of sports is not to win?
I think a lot of people think there's more than one point to sports.
I mean, so much of sports is like people getting sweaty and like rubbing around with each other.
What's the point to winning an Olympic medal?
God.
I don't know. I mean, why do we have the Olympics?
To identify who the best is at sport.
What is the historical reason why we have the Olympics?
Do you mean you want to go back to pancration?
I mean, do we want to talk about, no, like the modern
You wanna go back
reinvention
to-
of it?
Okay, so
Fascist politics, all that kind of stuff.
so you believe that people are competing, for example, in swimming, decathlon, biathlon, because
No,
of
I
fascist
think-
politics?
I think that the overarching mindset that sports is about, declaring dominance and that there's some sort of actual value.
Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What? This is not a trans sports conversation. This is this dude wanting to. What the fuck is this? Like, oh, sports. What? What's the point of sports? Like, what is this conversation? Oh my god, this is what? Now we're talking about whether sports are fascistic or not. Dude, I don't care. Like, sports are fun. I like playing sports. I don't like. We're talking about whether or not trans people should be in sports. I don't want a philosophical conversation on the purpose of sports. The purpose of sport probably be to have fun. The reason why I want to watch it, the purpose of sports, I mean, probably is also competition. Competition is fun. People enjoy it. That's why people do sports. People watch sports because it's fun to watch people perform athletic feats that are difficult for me to perform.
Value in like this idea of international representation of dominance in sports. Did you ever have fun in your life? Like, you ever have fun playing sports?
I didn't say it's about representing international dominance.
No, but I'm saying is like you said it's all about winning. So
I said, what is the point of sports? What is the point of sports?
I think sports is a lot about having fun and making relationships with people and
Do you think
camaraderie.
it's fun to make the Olympic medaling platform? Think that's fun?
Go on, think. Is it fun?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Absolutely not?
Zero fun, sir.
All right.
It's probably, they probably enjoy it. I mean, I think part of it also is like working on yourself and becoming the best at something can end up building a lot of pride, which isn't necessarily the same as like having fun. I think there's kind of two purposes in that sense. Like, you want to become extremely good at something, and watching yourself sort of develop from not being able to do something super well into like an Olympic athlete. I feel like that builds a lot of pride. It builds a lot of confidence in yourself, which I think is a really good thing. I mean, that's arguably a better meaning than just having fun. Because that like gives your life like building pride, becoming the best in the world at something like that builds immense confidence in yourself, and that gives your life meaning. That gives your life purpose, which is different from like just playing sports to have fun. But here's the thing, like this question of what is the purpose of sports, the dumb question because of different purposes for different people. It's kind of stupid to try to essentialize the purpose of sports for people. And then trying to analyze it at a socio-political level. Like, also, this is completely disconnected from the trans sport conversation. I think sports are interesting, but yeah. Gary, don't you have a video about individualist sports versus collectivist sports? I have a video where I talk about my preference of sports that I like to play. And I prefer sports where I play individually. Like, I prefer tennis, running. I like those more than team sports because I feel like I have more control over the outcome. I think that's the biggest reason. But that doesn't have anything to do with, like, ideology, like political, like, individualism versus collectivism. I'm not like saying, basketball is bad because it's collectivist. And it's just like I prefer sports where I feel like I have a lot more control over my performance.
I mean, it must provide a sense of.
And that's a personal preference, by the way. And I'm not like saying, those sports are superior to other. Like, no, that's stupid.
Accomplishment.
Why?
A sense of joy because they worked hard to get there.
And the joy and accomplishment comes from what?
Working hard to get there, I guess.
Wouldn't you going to great lengths to avoid the term winning a medal?
I mean, hey, if you get second place and you're a spoiled brat about it, I think a lot of people would think you're kind of lame.
Do you think that the Olympic silver medalist who took second place to Leah Thomas, who wouldn't be ranked top 500 in the male division, is being a spoiled brat?
Well, what is your solution? Would you want to create?
collective sports can be great if you have great chemistry in the team. That's true. I love basketball, and like I have a soccer game tonight at 8:30. So like I love playing sports. It's just a preference thing. It's just a personal preference.
An entirely separate category for transgender people in sports?
If you want to, we can. Otherwise,
No, that's not what I want to. I'm asking what you want.
Yeah, I think biological males should compete with biological males.
What I'm asking specifically about transgender and intersex people now. Where do you think they should compete in sports?
Well, let's separate transgender and intersex, because intersex people don't want to be lumped in with transgenders.
I mean, who are you to speak for them? Are
No,
you
I'm
intersex?
letting them speak
Are you telling
for
me
them.
something about yourself?
I'm letting them speak for them, but I'm sure you'll find statistics that will prove you wrong and bolster what I'm discussing right now. Intersex
sure.
people don't want to be lumped in with transgender individuals because there is a biological.
Okay, one thing I want to mention though, because he kind of touched on this a little bit, but they're not like actually getting to the point at all. One thing he said, his suggestion was that biological males should compete with biological males. So like trans women should compete with males. But I guess one issue that I have with this is what happens when you apply this to the female side? Do we allow trans men who are jacking themselves full of testosterone and male hormones to compete with cis women? I don't think we should. So as a result, I think it might be more useful to have a cis women category and then an everyone else category. I think that ultimately might be the best solution. But then there's also the issue of like trans people then are never going to be able to compete. So maybe we could make a trans league for the different genders. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. But destroying women's sports, like this women's space, is just not a very good idea. It's very like anti-woman, it feels like. Because then if you do that, like you're Serena Williams, no one would know who she is. No one would watch the female USA soccer team, which was like actually like a really proud moment for a lot of women, I feel like. So I feel like that all of that, it's like, and I think the female soccer team got beat by a group of high school guys, like the professional USA women's soccer team. So it's like, do we want to just completely destroy these women's spaces? That's really the question when it comes to trans sports.
Biological issue. There's not a biological issue with transgender individuals. It is a societal issue. It's a
Is it
social
a
issue.
biological issue that you would never make a basketball team because you can't jump?
That I can't jump?
Yeah.
Why are you making that presumption?
I'm just kind of following this logic to where
Are
it
you
might
racist?
conclude.
Because he's white.
No, I'm asking, are you?
You're asking, am I racist?
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you're so obsessed with certain types of people winning certain types of categories as if there's some sort of
Males and
biological...
females? Yeah.
So you're an
You believe it's a figment of
essentialist.
my
Wait, what the fuck? How did race get brought into this? What? He's making this weird connection like, oh, I'm interested in people of a certain biology being able to win. And like, and that means that you're interested in, white people being able to win because you like when white people win and don't like when black people win. So you are racist. You not supporting trans women in women's sports means that you're racist because you care a lot about biology, don't you? What?
imagination.
You're an essentialist.
Oh, well, let's throw that to Marone.
God, I hate that I'm defending Crowder here. Like, this dude is so fucking stupid. Holy shit. Like, what? How is this dude not been fired from his journalist job? Like, I feel like if with this level of thought, it feels like you wouldn't be able to write a coherent article. I guess as a Rolling Stone journalist, isn't that music stuff? I don't know. But I don't know. With his level of political engagement, it seemed he's getting steamrolled in a debate by Steven Crowder. What? Steven Crowder, the same dude who backed out of a debate with Sam Cedar. And Sam Cedar's not like an intellectual powerhouse. I mean, Sam Cedar's smart, but he's not like, I don't know. I don't think Sam Cedar's an intellectual powerhouse who I would be scared to debate. Like, and this dude is getting steamrolled by Crowder. What?
What do you mean that I'm an essentialist, that I believe biological males should compete against biological males?
Well, I mean, you just talk about biological males and females so much that it essentializes.
Oh, also the ideological brain rot on this guy. Just saying. So he's like connecting him to essentialism. He's like, okay, so because you care about the differences between biological males and biological females, you are an essentialist. Now, because you're an essentialist, essentialism also relates to views on race and also relates to views on all sort like other stuff. Like, let me think. Race, sex. I'm not thinking of any others. I feel stupid right now. But yeah, essentialism is similar to racism. Oh wait, so we go up that tree and apply this broad ideology to him, and then stick him to that. Okay, now we got him stuck to this. Now we got him stuck to this word, and now we can use this word to connect him to anything else. It's like these weird floating. This is rationalism, actually. It's these weird floating abstractions, and just using that to make these weird word games connections that are just completely broken.
Gender into a binary that doesn't include all these people that we've just been talking about, and sex into a binary.
Did you ever see the debate where Crowder gets flustered debating a conservative socialist and kicks him out? I have seen that. That was an embarrassment for Crowder. Also, my camera's glitching again. I'm just gonna leave it until it breaks. I don't know. I think I need to buy a new camera.
Well, and sex.
Yeah.
You said gender.
And sex, yeah.
I didn't mention gender. I mentioned sex.
Well, I'm talking about both. Yeah, I would
I'm
say.
not.
Well, then let's just focus on sex. You are creating an essentialist
Biological
binary.
males
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if you are saying that it is not binary, sex, then you are suggesting
one issue Crowder does a lot too. He interrupts a lot. He loves to interrupt.
there should be a third division.
I feel like Crowder likes to hear himself talk. He thinks he's so funny. He thinks he's so smart. He just wants to talk. But I mean, he comes off more intelligent in this debate than the other guy. But that's because they're not really talking about anything. All it is this journalist having like just a schizo moment, basically, like where he just can't make any connections, make any arguments. He's just making all these weird connections and calling sports fascistic and saying that people who don't believe trans women should compete with women are essentialists. That means they're racist. It's like all these weird. I don't know. It feels like we're witnessing Crowder talking to someone who's like schizo posting right now. It's kind of weird. Is that ableist to say? I don't know.
Not necessarily.
What's your solution?
I'm saying we should maybe stop taking sports so damn seriously and let people compete and create structures for competing that aren't so damn politicized. How about that?
How about no?
Okay, great. So women should just shut up and take it.
I don't think
Also, these clips are so cringe. Why do people think that's funny? Like inserting these clips into the middle of, I don't know. I don't get it, but I don't know. I'm also not like a movie person who does movie references. I find like references to stuff kind of cringe in general, but I don't know. Some people enjoy it.
Taking it too seriously. Women are taking it too
I don't
seriously.
think that's what I think you're taking it too seriously.
No, I'm saying women out there are taking it too seriously.
Talk to a woman. There's plenty of women here. Talk to a woman.
Yeah, I have. I've spoken with many
What
women.
did she say?
But there's also
What
the
did they
empirical
say?
data. They of course don't want biological males to compete in women's sports.
All right, so I'm gonna give
Yeah,
up my
that's a
seat
female
now.
athlete.
Is there a woman who would like to speak to him?
Pause. It's funny he should ask.
What a king, giving up his seat so that a woman can speak. Yes, getting more women to speak. Let's go. I love it when women speak. Yes.
Because we just so happen to have talked to a female athlete, one of Leah Thomas's teammates, peers, if you will, at UPenn to be exact, and here's what she had to say. That guy, Monticelli, seems to be uneducated. I would say that the way the rules are set up right now straight up deny women from equal educational opportunities in sport and discriminate against women by not recognizing the physical differences between men and women. And women shouldn't be forced to take a back seat in their own sport.
Any women?
Female athlete.
All right, cool. Hey, it's been nice, Steve.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
I appreciate it.
I don't know.
So no solution, no dog in the fight, just wrong sources.
It's insane how people can have has been 19 minutes. They just had a 19-minute discussion, and they didn't talk about anything. It was kind of funny. Like, it was crazy. It was cool to watch. It's content, I guess. I can post something on my YouTube channel, but holy shit. Like, there was nothing there. I felt like I had to, like, insert, like, little bits of, like, actually interesting information just to make this bearable. Like, holy shit. Maybe something interesting will happen.
Conversation's been very productive.
I'd say, have fun.
Well, I also feel like this is kind of the state of the culture right now. It's like people have these talking points in their head, and they just like start spewing them out rapidly at each other, and just talk past each other, and like randomly make connections, and spew a talking point, spew another talking point, spew another one, and then it's like this weird mesh of words all coming together, and just the garbled nonsense that we see. That's like what Twitter is. What, like, if you ever watch a debate panel, if you ever listen to people arguing about politics in general, that's what it is. People aren't actually talking to each other. They're just like trying to think about, oh, what's the talking point that I memorized before this? I think this is it. I'll say that, and I'll just be very confident about it. And then, oh, they said this thing that's vaguely related to this other thing that I've thought about, and it's like, oh God, please stop. Can people actually talk? Dude, I'm gonna cry. This has made me lose so much faith in the world.
Making it your career to go talk to college students who don't want to talk to you.
Don't be an asshole your whole life.
Now, given what's transpired, one might think that Mr. Monticelli would take the L.
But it's also kind of, I don't know, like, if you look at the beginning of this debate, they come in, both of them are immediately confrontational. Both of them immediately hate each other and are just looking to get dunks on the other person. And I mean, Crowder's a more experienced speaker, it seems like. This dude probably knows how to write articles, but there's a difference between writing and speaking. Yeah, I definitely know that. Like, I don't know, it's like when I have time to sit, think, write stuff out, do some research on the side, then continue typing, it's a lot easier to be super clear and explain things super well. It's more difficult when you're speaking in the heat of the moment, because you very much just have to rely on your subconscious. And it's hard to trust your subconscious sometimes. And then it's also, I mean, if your subconscious is full of confusion and garbage, it's hard to make stuff make sense. Sharonda's Payne said, who won? I don't know, but the world did not win from that conversation. Society definitely lost as a result of this conversation. I probably lost a few brain cells too as a result. Nobody really won. Everybody just lost. Everybody just lost countless brain cells from the last 19 minutes of what we've witnessed. Oh my God.
And never speak of it.
Yeah, is there anything else interesting in this video? I kind of want to stop. Yeah, it looks like it's just memes and Crowder being boring. Yeah. Let's put that to rest. If you've sat through this entire video, I commend you. If you sat through, because this is going on YouTube later, if you sat through this entire video, I commend you. I hope I made this shit show a little bit more entertaining. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure.